Hey, Rye, 7th grade, how you doing? Mr. V here. So, I know I already posted today, but I think many of you haven't seen it. I want to post a second time. I know that there's like unwritten rules about posting twice in one day, but coming at you with a second post fire right now. Get ready, all right? This post is going to be about how to make yourself do something when you don't want to do it. Okay, if you're anything like me, that happens all the time.
A lot.
I'm constantly confronted with things that I need to take care of that I just don't want to do. And somehow, some way, I have to find motivation to do it. Okay, these are things that have to get done. Can't just not do them. But they are things I don't want to do. I could give you a long list of things, but I know you don't want to hear about it. So I'm sure you may be similar where you have things that you have to do that you don't want to do. And namely, what I'm thinking about is schoolwork, really. I think while many students are motivated to do their best, there are a number of students that just aren't. They're just not. Like you're 12, 13 years old and you're just like not motivated to do your best work. The subject isn't engaging, it's not exciting for you. The idea of studying and getting homework done and kind of all that, it's just like, it doesn't appeal to you, okay? But as you know, school's not going anywhere. So the question is, how do you overcome this? How do you become somebody that, like perfect world, I'd love it if all of a sudden you became someone that just loved learning, just loved it, just for the sake of loving learning, and worked as hard as you could just for personal pride, just because if you were capable of doing it, you wanted to do it. I'd love that, but I also know that that's not realistic necessarily. It doesn't just happen. That'll happen for you eventually, I believe, but it may not just happen like that. So, 3 things to focus on if you want to be somebody that can overcome this and do the thing you don't want to do. Number 1 is to, I hate to say it, but to think about the consequences, okay? This is something that's always helped me. What are the consequences if I don't do this? If I continue to have this type of attitude towards school and towards my work, if I continue to not engage in the lesson and not do my homework regularly, if I continue to not study and not take school seriously, what are the consequences? Both short-term consequences, right, and long-term consequences. What are the consequences at home if I come home and I'm failing math? What are the consequences? What are the consequences long-term? How will this pattern of behavior, how will this affect me in a year, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years? How will it affect my future? You know, as kids, you probably don't spend time thinking about this, which is why oftentimes we stay stuck in these like unmotivated patterns and loops for so long. But if you take a second and think about the consequences, not to mention how you feel inside about yourself, right? If you take some time to think about these consequences, you might decide it's not worth it. It's easier to just care a little bit and to put in the work. So that's number 1. Number 2, this is an interesting one. Ignore your feelings. A lot of times we're not doing things, oh, I'm tired. Oh, it's too hard. Oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, if I do it, I'm just going to do a bad job with it. Oh, well, you can come up with a million reasons, excuses, if you want to call them that, but reasons why we don't feel up to doing it. And we're humans, man. We're good at this. We can convince ourselves not to do anything. We so could do it, all right? But you need to remember that just because you're feeling it doesn't mean you have to. That doesn't mean you have to yield to it. Sometimes you got to ignore your feelings, and you need to speak back to your feelings and say, "Hey, you know what? I hear you. I'm tired, and I don't want to do it. I had a late night last night, and I have every reason to not be up for doing my work. But you know what, Mr. V, I'm gonna do my work. Today. I'm gonna do it. I don't care what I'm feeling. I don't care if you know what. I don't. It's a hard assignment, and yeah, maybe I won't do so good on it, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I'd rather get a 50% than a 0%. You gotta kind of talk to yourself a little bit and fight against some of those negative and often untrue thoughts that we have that are preventing us from getting started and doing that thing we don't want to do. Fight your feelings. And the last one is a tough one, but it's a good one. Detailed planning. Look, if you're not sitting down at some point during your week and planning out your week, I think you're gonna probably struggle. If what you're doing every day and every night is just relying on your own willpower to get it done, you're probably not gonna get it done a lot, especially if you're someone who tends to be a bit unmotivated or uninterested. You're gonna lose that battle to your willpower every time. So instead, plan a little for the week. I talked about this in a previous post. Plan a little bit. Maybe on a Sunday night, take a look at your week. Decide when you want to go to X period and where you want to go for X period. Take a look at your personal schedule. Maybe you got a couple after-school activities on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you have a test on Thursday and you won't be able to study on Wednesday night, you better plan for that and make sure you put in more time earlier in the week. And write it down. Write down your plan and what your expectations are for yourself so that when Monday night comes, you don't have to battle with your will to decide if you're going to do it. All you need to do is look at your schedule, because you know what? You already decided what the right thing to do was. You already decided. So now it's not a battle of will. It's just a matter of taking a look at your schedule and saying, all right, I already made this decision. If 5 o'clock comes on Tuesday and I haven't completed and I haven't had a chance to study for science, that's what I'm doing. Right? So planning, really helpful in terms of overcoming the battle with your willpower. So those are the three things. Thinking about the consequences, both short-term, present moment, and future. Ignoring your feelings when they tell you that you don't want to do something, shouldn't do something, or won't be successful at it. And planning, detailed planning. These three things, I think, can really be the key to overcoming a lack of motivation, or to help you do that thing you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. So I'm really hoping that was helpful for you guys. Please leave a comment below. Love to hear what you have to say about it. If you have any other tips or things that work for you, please share them in the comments. These are just three that I thought of. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm out.